Facebook. Simon, take it away.
Right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Property Professionals Thursday edition show. Delighted to see our specialist finance chap is back in the chair with a full presentation for us today. Welcome back, Bobby. So good to see you there. Property Professionals, who we are, what we do, we're a like-minded bunch of individuals interested in all sorts of angles of property, working together as a network, trying to save each other money, trying to avoid the need for those expensive courses if we can, trying to educate each other, share ideas, and network to actually work together as well if you want. But that's not a recommendation, that's just the opportunities that arise by pooling all these resources together and the knowledge that we give away on these shows. So we're a non-profit organisation and we don't recommend the people that we work with, but we like them, I think it's fair to say. Isn't it, Dill, who's my co-host today? Say hi, Dill.
Hi, Dill.
He's brilliant. He's good. I like Dill.
Thank you, Simon. I like you as well sometimes.
Yeah, we're a team up here presenting away. But anyway, so live show today, packed full of stars. We have Bobby Madden, specialist finance, who's going to give us an update. As you'll be aware, our regular viewers, he hasn't been well, and it's good to see him back again, presenting with a full voice as well. I already heard you speak and I can hear it's back again, so it's really good to see. And our special guest today doesn't need too much of an introduction to all of you guys out there listening to our shows regularly or listening to other property shows. He's Jack Jiggens from EXP Property. He's just about everything there is to know with inside property. He's probably done it, which is a really outstanding way to learn to actually do the jobs in the first place and now actually manage them. So, and obviously we're here as well from Ranjit Singh, our property investor news expert, which is one magazine we are happy to recommend for our viewers in terms of just a ridiculous source of knowledge for £7.95 a month for when you actually start paying, because I can see in the background he's still giving away 6 issues free. So, but we'll hear from him later as well today. So that's the show. Q&As at the end. If anyone's got any questions, fire them in either join us on Zoom, or this is live on Facebook on Catch Up. If you're watching it like many of our viewers do later on today and you have a question, please email us or contact us via Facebook and we will forward those questions to Bobby, Jack, to get you answers back later on. So let's get the show on the way. Let's go over to Bobby. And how you doing, Bobby?
I'm doing much better. I'm getting my voice back. Bit of a tickly cough, but otherwise all good.
Good to hear that. And you've got lots of good news for us today, I hope.
Always, never negative. Ish.
Honest.
Yes, I think that's probably a better word. But I think one of my main topics today is lending has catapulted, and I would actually say the number of products available in the market, whether you're a developer, whether you're looking for bridging finance, development finance, commercial lending, or residential buy-to-lets, probably increased about 15-fold overall in the last 3 weeks alone. I'm actually seeing evolution in a number of aspects. And in my view, I'm seeing a rise in prime borrowers and the value of the debts that are actually being consolidated. A lot of people have actually run into a lot of debt, which isn't a negative, it's just part of life. But I've actually seen a lot of prime borrowers take out second charge loans for debt consolidation. A lot of people, while the number of loans that have been taken out has increased, so has the actual debt as well. I found that in the last 6 months from research I'd actually read, we're up by about 20% in debt consolidation in comparison to last year. In addition to that, 95% lending. A lot of people keep on talking about the Help to Buy scheme. I think we kind of need, whilst the Help to Buy scheme is very good at 95%, we need to move away from government schemes and look at regular properties as well. There are a lot of lenders that are not taking part in the Help to Buy scheme, but they're willing to lend 95%. If you have parents that have equity in their property, 100% loan to value mortgages never stopped, even during the first lockdown of the pandemic. People like Barclays are still doing springboard mortgages, which are 100% mortgages, and that is still very prevalent in today's market. Besides that, RBS, Clydesdale, Skipton, NatWest, Bank of Scotland, just a few lenders that have actually started 95% lending. The greatest thing I've actually seen this week is up to 85% on buy-to-lets now. And that's something that was never there. But I think there's a strong concentration on green mortgages. So you do actually have a lot of mortgages now that are based on the EPC certificate. Grades A to C will get you higher lending or better rates. C and below will actually be different rates. In addition to that, I think following the government's decision to bring down the Help to Buy scheme and launch 3 new products, Halifax and NatWest have actually increased their lending to 95% immediately. I would probably say we will see a lot of products come into the market in the next 3 to 4 weeks. But the good thing is 95% lending has actually started to reduce interest rates. I've seen interest rates with some lenders go down by as much as 25 to 30% in the last 3 weeks alone, which is definitely a very good change. I've seen also Fleet Mortgages is one of the main lenders that have actually relaxed their criteria on blocks of flats. Cladding is still a very serious issue. And I've seen a lot of lenders recently not even accepting B1 pass rates. So when we actually look at cladding, we're looking at A1, A2, and B1 to make this a mortgageable property. B2 and below will actually not be mortgageable until further works have actually been completed. So I think it's very important to actually note, whenever you're buying a new build, do actually see what the neighboring blocks have actually passed at when it comes to the EWS1. You don't want to exchange, which you have to contractually do within 28 days and then be stuck 6 months down the line where there's just no chance of actually getting a mortgage. Other positive things from this week, self-employed borrowers are being welcomed back. Nationwide especially have started accepting overtime and bonus payments. They were a lender that were very prevalent in the industry, and they have a very straightforward, logical approach to your income. So especially if you're actually on monthly commissions, you may be a lettings agent, an estate agent, you may actually be an optometrist that's freelancing. They were actually used for a lot of contractors, and it's actually, it's a great thing that they are actually coming back into the market again, or they have come back into the market. In addition to that, I would say the smaller building societies, Newcastle Building Society, Mansfield, Family, Trust, Cambridge Building Society, Cambridge Counties Building Society are some of the building societies that are literally, in my views, at the very, very top. When it comes to criteria, acceptance of properties, rates, loan to values, arrangement fees, these are not high street lenders that you hear of every day, but there is a huge difference. There are very good schemes that they're actually offering. And I think lastly, something I've actually noticed more so is a slowdown in the market due to the stamp duty holiday. I think people have actually understood now, if they haven't found a property at this stage, they're aiming to actually attract the July to September completion. So a lot of people are actually aiming for that. They've come to terms where they're buying a property. For example, I have a client, she's buying a property for a 331, and then she's going to move along from £0 in stamp duty up to about 4,000. So I think people have come to terms with that, and they've started to actually understand that. Solicitors are not guaranteeing they'll complete in time, because we do not have much time to deal with all of the conveyancing work, because searches are taking quite a bit of time to come in. On the development front, very finally, on the development side front, We've finally managed to get our first deal through since pre-COVID with 100% lending on the development side. We've managed to get 77.5% on the purchase, but 100% on lending. That's definitely a very good change. That was not possible before. We were looking at circa 60-70% on both ends, but these are actually welcome differences. Bridging rates have gone down quite a bit, where the average rate we would have thought about 0.7, 0.8. We are now doing rates for bridging under 0.5 a month. For anyone that knows much about bridging, that is a huge benefit. Even with slightly impaired credit as well would be acceptable, depending on the loan to value. But that's pretty much all for me today. And any questions you have, I'll be here afterwards for the Q&A. And back over to yourself, Simon.
Thank you, Bobby. That's quite a big insight you just delivered there. A lot of good news in there, isn't there? With rates coming down, there isn't one bit of bad news, and all good stuff for us, really.
There you go.
Whether you're borrowing or not. One quick question, just a bit for us, because the BBC lesson yesterday were saying, "Oh, massive house price boom and everything." So you're not seeing that then? Is that what you're saying? Is
down
it more
valuations? I'm still seeing down valuations.
Right.
I'm actually seeing some lenders, and I'm not going to mention the lenders, but some lenders are not using logical approaches to valuations. Unfortunately, they're actually rejecting properties. I've had a couple of applications that have been rejected that are multi-unit properties. Their view is simply they're not sellable in the open market, although the property next door is just sold in the open market by the same landlord. Again, it's very difficult to actually go through this with lenders, and it's very, very challenging for us as a broker. But I will definitely say valuations are definitely not coming back better. There are lots of down valuations coming through at the moment. Although the figures state that prices have gone up, I definitely can't see this at the moment.
Bobby, did you just say some lenders are not logical? Did I just hear you correctly?
I'm a broker. I think lenders are great.
I think most lenders are not logical, mate. So
I beg to differ.
okay. All right. So thank you for that insight. And look, thank you for bringing the sunshine back from Florida with you. So it's great to have some more sun.
No problem.
I think you need a second visit, though. Your cough's still there. Right. Moving on swiftly, if it's okay.
You got to Ramjet.
Yep. I was gonna get there, Simon. Yeah. So okay. No property meet is complete without the Maharaja. So Ranjit, aka the Maharaja, over to you, sir. And listen, I've been doing Zoom so long, I've developed psychic abilities. I know what you're going to ask me next. Ranjit, you're going to ask me something next, aren't you?
Well, I thought you got the psychic powers to know.
That's what I thought. I thought you were just do it.
That's why I didn't ask you.
There you go. I fixed it even before you asked me. You were going to ask me, can I share the slides?
Yes. Can you all see? Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd just like to say welcome back to Bobby, our in-house chancellor, who's been very much missed for the last month. I hope Florida was good. Right. My name is Ranjit from Property Investor News. There are no secrets to success. Success is no accident. It's hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, attending events like these, sacrifice, and more. Remember, no pain, no gain. We've been publishing this for over 18 years. Who is the magazine for? It's for investors, developers, traders, land buyers, listers, accountants, surveyors, party wall surveyors, and the list goes on. Why you should subscribe to Property Investor News: 1, education and specialist knowledge; 2, information to weigh up the deals; 3, strategies so you could decide if it's right for you; and 4, fourth, confidence to go forward in your business. Some key headlines in our April 2021 issue, relevant to your property businesses and the changing, challenging world. Opening comments from our editor, Richard Bowser. UK property market news, landlord news, good, bad and the ugly. Ugly one, landlord fined £48,000. News analysis, house prices, development and planning news across UK cities and towns. A great tool for researching areas to invest in. News analysis, stock squeeze. Stock squeeze fuel rising rents. Research by Hamptons. Student accommodation, demand for student accommodation is rising. Will it last? Investor interview, local areas by Richard Bowser, Property Investor News editor, Kent-based developer Peter Debner. Staycation and holiday lets. Will 2021 be the year of staycation, or we will be soon boarding planes? Commercial properties, 5-step blueprint for adding values to commercial properties by Susie Carter. Auction Insight, the last 6 months and the next 6 months by J. Anthony Howard. Planning Matters, new permitted development rights by David Camp, planning consultant and a barrister. Investor Opinion, Staycation and More by John Corey, veterinary international investor. News Opinion, Thoughts on Standing Out in Property by Helen Shawley, investor and former investment banker. European and worldwide news and much, much more. Subscribe to Property Investor News and read all these articles in greater depth and much, much more. Question for you to ask yourself that changes everything is, what is going well in my business? Question for you, do you have the expertise and the knowledge to and the insight to adapt and prosper? Let us help you on your property journey to investing success. Subscribe today. Ongoing education, in-depth market analysis every month. Access to online resources, 1,500 keyword search articles, 250 videos and webinar archives, and hard copy of Property Investor News delivered to your home or office just for $7.95 a month. Because property investment and development is for the brave and the bold in these changing, challenging times. Therefore, we have put together a bold offer, learn from the past, plan for the future. That's on the screen in front of you. It's an event offer, not available online. Therefore, please follow the instruction. As it's on the screen, you can see you will receive 6 issues of Property Investor News magazine, including a book, Before the Hammer Falls, written by 2 auction experts. All you do is subscribe by going to our website and then email me with your name, postal address, and the long reference number, which the system will generate once you subscribe, and then we will get your package on its way to you. Remember, the power to change life lies in simplest of choices. Every day you have a choice, stay the same or change for better. Why stay the same? Subscribe to Property Investor News. Stay on track with up-to-date information, specialized knowledge, education, and much, much more. The whole world is going through challenging times. Change is inevitable. Just remember, it's not the strongest nor the most intelligent that survive. It's the ones that are most adaptable to change, full stop, survive. Never, never stop learning, because life never, never stops teaching. Please remember, it's 1, your life, 2, your dreams, 3, your goals, and 4, your business, and 5, therefore, please do not let anybody hold you back. Subscribe to Property Investor News today. And lastly, remember, no pressure, no diamonds. I will not hold you back any longer. Back to you, Simon and Dil.
Ranjit, thank you for that. Question for you. On that slide, which one's Simon and which one's Dil, and why have you left Bobby out?
I'll let you two decide which one is which.
Okay, now you mentioned your 6 magazines. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe, because the January one's really great. I'm going to point some things out in the January one. There's some chap talking about party walls. Read the section 1 bit. That's really useful. And I'm quite proud of this diagram, although I did nick it off somebody else. He outlined it for me. This is the actual process of the Party Wall Act. So grab that special offer if you're not a subscriber. If you are a subscriber, make sure you go back and read it. So thank you for that, Ranjit. Really great. And can I have my slides back now? Slide ability back now. Right. Okay, so next part of the show, while I try and get my slides back. Okay, I was going to press the wrong button there. Right.
I'd just like to say, when I logged on, I saw Jack on the screen there. I thought I was in the wrong event.
You thought you now? Come on, mate. We got him here especially. He's taking a pause from his modelling career. I know you were probably following him on his Instagram modelling career. Right. Enough of that. Right. Let me introduce Jack properly. Look, every week I say this, and it seems to be getting more and more true as we progress. Or truer. I can't remember the. Put away your colouring pencils. Get your pens out and your paper. Start taking notes. Because our next guest is going to take you through a training course in the space of an hour. Literally, this chap is going to deliver a training course. I'm going to have a conversation about that at the end. In the space of an hour, he's going to give you everything he knows, and he's got the experience to back it up. Jack, I'm going to stop talking. Thank you for taking a pause on your modelling career. Over to you.
Thanks, Dill. Really appreciate it. My favourite memory of modelling was the shoot we did together. So that's still at the top of it. No, thanks very much for having me. Well, everyone on the call, really. It's such a privilege to be in such a well-knowledgeable group and to be delivering, I suppose, my little sort of snippet of what I'm good at, but give you a bit of base around EXP. We're a big believer that some people are great at some things and not so good at the others. So today I'm going to walk you through what I do in our business, and hopefully you can see there's method in the madness. And yeah, as Dill said, I'm a pretty open book. I'll be pretty transparent on what we do. Everything that you're going to see today, we do. And there's a lot more that goes into it behind the doors, which our team, which you'll see, and Ben Richards carry out and sort of cover me in those areas. So if you don't mind, I'll share my screen so that I can share my presentation. I believe that's the one. Can you see finding deals and keeping pipeline full?
We can see a black screen. You can share slides. I think you need to move your slide thing along.
Let me have a look. That's what happens when you have multiple screens, eh?
I know the feeling. I've got 3 here.
Okay, I think this is it. There we go.
Yep, that's it.
Good, awesome. So everyone bear with me. There's a lot of content to rattle through. I'd rather get through it and then have as many questions as we can. So before we sort of dive into this, my end of the business is acquisitions. So I love keeping the pipeline full, making sure the deal flow's there, really stress testing deals. We tend to examine and look at about 10 to 15 deals a week, and we tend to get about between 2 and 4 offers out a week. So we're very active. We probably have less of a success rate than a lot of other developers out there, but we secure great deals, and that's because we have a really finite criteria of margins and scope that we look for, which I'll come into in the presentation. So a bit about EXP. Founded 3 years ago. It was concept about 3.5 years ago when I met Ben Richards. Prerequisites to that. We are an SME property development business based in the home counties and London. We like land, conversions, commercial buildings, residential buildings, and mixed use. We're not too flexible about what we're buying, but what we are flexible with is what we deliver from the back end. New to my slides, on the right-hand side, you'll see anything that we co-own or have a partnership in. So EXP has recently launched XP Surveys, which is a topographical and building measurement surveying company. My business partner, Ben Richards, runs Aura Architecture. I also run a HMO co-living portfolio called Central Suites. And we've recently taken on a share in a social living concept business, which is rapidly growing in the south of London. I'm sure everyone will hear much more about that in this coming year. So this is the team. Like I mentioned beginning of the call, we're big believers in divide and conquering. So we stick to what we know. We don't tend to get our nose dirty in other areas of the business, and it works really well. So Saul and I work on acquisitions and operation. Once we've got the scheme and we've boxed it up and we know where we're going, we then hand it over to Ben and Lily. And there's a back end team that do all of the sort of more office-based stuff, surveying, etc. This photo in the bottom right is quite funny because I dragged Ben along to the solicitors and I said, we got to sign for something today. And you can see by his face, he didn't actually know that we were buying a new site. So that just goes to show that he sticks to what he does and I stick to what I do. My background, I suppose you could say my dad was an accidental developer. You've probably heard the phrase accidental landlord. I call him an accidental developer. Every house I lived in from a kid, he had built up. We had lived in it for a few years, and then poor mummy Jiggens had to then move again to another building site. So he was an avid entrepreneur, builder, and I learned a lot. So pretty much since I was of a young age. So you can see in the top middle picture here, that's me putting the roofing battens on a new shed that we erected in one of our houses. I was probably about 5 years old there, and it didn't stop until I was about 25, 26. I was still doing all the trades on site, so I could plaster, render, bricklay, foundations, groundwork, irrigation, some level of plumbing, some level of electrics, and fully decorate, all carpentry work, including cut roofs. And carpentry was probably the most popular thing that I was doing on site. So as you can see on the right-hand side, there's a little bungalow that we bought, and the bottom right-hand corner is what we ended up with a project. And that's pretty much what I did for a few years within family and friends, joint ventures. And I was doing all this before I really knew what it was. I didn't really know what an investor was, what joint venturing was, what flipping was, until after I had done all these, I then started to get a bit more educated. I've also done project management. I project managed a contract in West London in White City for 7.5 million build contract for the retail brand Net-a-Porter, which was their flagship product, and they actually spent a hell of a lot of money considering how big the office was. So that was good fun. And since then, obviously, EXP was born. We are now actually building out about £7 million worth of GDV, and there's about £3 million built out, and we've got a pipeline of about 5 million. So we're building out about 10 sites currently, and when I say building out, we've got about half of those in planning. And since we set up just over 2.5 years ago, so nearly 3 years ago, we've averaged a purchase every 6 weeks. So you can see how active we really are. I won't go into too much detail about my business partner, as one day hopefully he'll be telling you himself, but he's got a 12 years worth of experience in the construction industry. He did a master's degree in architectural engineering, which is almost like a structural engineer, almost like an architect, but neither or. I always give him a bit of jip for that. And his most predominant position before he went into own his own businesses was technical manager at the Berkeley Group. So you can see this 970 flat build that he was part of for a year and a bit. So he's got really wealthy experience in terms of small, medium and large projects. And that's he then set up Aura Architecture, which is a architectural business place based in South London, and they tend to work with end builder clients, but also developers as well. So moving on from Ben and myself, the business, we focus on sourcing and project managing. We do assist and work with joint ventures with landowners, property owners, and I have actually done a talk before in this group called Assisted Sales, which is similar to that. We look at co-working with investment, and we collaborate, and we also pay fees, vice versa. So we may have a site for you, or you may have a site for us. Questions. If you have any questions, I'm happy for you to ask them all at the end as we go along. I'll just ask, because I can't see them coming in, Dill or someone else, to just let me know if there are any. I'm happy to do them as and when.
Yeah, carry on, Jack. We'll get to your presentation, then we'll do the questions. Yeah.
Cool, good. So what is EXP working on? So these are some of our projects, just to give you a bit of flavour of what we're working on. This scheme on the left-hand side is a mixed-use development of 4 studio flats, 7 offices, and 4 storage units. You can see what we're adding here is a large extension at the rear of the brick-built building and these 2 pods on the front. We've cleaned that all up. That's now completely finished. So if anyone wants to have a Matterport look, or if anyone's looking for an office space in Reading, do let me know. this is in Spencer's Wood, so it's just south of the M4, so really desirable for people that don't want to cross the M4 every morning. So that scheme we bought for 780. We got planning permission, which added about 250 grand in value, which is obviously quite a wealthy exercise. And then we're building it out currently, and we think we're going to smash the GDV target of 2.1, spending 650 grand on it. It's quite a nice little scheme that we're going to part hold, part sell that scheme. On this right-hand side, this was a scheme we bought, built and sold last year. So in 2020, while some businesses were trying to adapt, we were still cracking on. And we crowdfunded all of the capital on this. I think we crowdfunded about 96% of cost. We had a really good buffer for planning uplift in there, so we didn't need to put too much capital in ourselves. Successfully delivered, successfully sold on the market. We've got one last flat, which is due to be sold imminently. And the crowd are due to be paid back any day now. So anyone that has invested in that, keep your eye on your bank balance. So this particular scheme was quite a creative one. We bought a disused police station, which used to be 40 metres squared of office space, a 3-bedroom house and a 2-bay garage. We bought it unconditionally. We had done a pre-app. We had boosted our confidence in what could be possible. And then we bought it, went in for planning and achieved planning for 3 houses and to maintain the office. So what you can see there is the CGIs. This is one example of where we bought the site, got planning and sold it. So what EXP like to do is keep our project base quite fluid. So some will build out, some will sell with planning, and some we might even flip without planning and just arbitrage our negotiation skills. And I've got an example of that coming up next. So this is a scheme that we agreed a purchase back in the last year. We agreed a purchase price of 323, of which we also agreed a £10,000 exchange fee. So what we did was we exchanged 10k in. We knew that we had agreed a really good price for this. So what we did then after is negotiated a long stop exchange to completion. So rather than having the normal 4 weeks, we agreed 8 weeks. And what that did was that allowed us to chuck it into the auction 3 weeks later than exchanging. And it sold for 400 grand on that hammer. So what happened was we exchanged for 10 grand. We signed a contract, which was assignable. We sold it in an auction for 400k, and we walk away with the rest of the profit. There was some costs, so we did a bit of site clearance, we drew up CGIs, we put in for planning, but we weren't necessarily that worried about the planning. We knew that if we didn't sell it in auction, we had to be prepared to deliver the scheme. So nice little return, 8 weeks worth of work, 100k in, 50k back, and our original 10k back. And now another person has gone ahead and gone to deliver that scheme. I'm sure they'll make a good build profit, and we're happy and they're happy. So that's another example of arbitraging maybe just the offer value that you brought in. Quite comically, the auction was in March. Obviously, we're now mid-April and that is now sold. So money's in the bank. So that's an example of how we change the place up. On the right-hand side, I thought it would be good to sort of show really how active we are. You have to be getting offers out to be doing deals. You don't have to deliver every offer. You can sell them on, you can partner with people, or alternatively, most commonly, you get your offer accepted. So on the right hand side is all the offers that we've got out in the last month and then the prerequisite month for that. So we're extremely active, as you can see. I always say what we lack in age, we give back in activity. So rather than looking at offers and unsecured deals, let's look at what we've actually bought. So this was 2019. A lot of people think a 3-year-old business, what have you done? What do you know? And that's what I'm going to show you. So we bought a HMO, the mixed use building site, a commercial building that we let out to a D1 children's nursery. We bought and sold the police station. We bought a speculative plot of land, and we bought another HMO in 2019. This does not include deals that we sold on. Moving on from that, 2020, which was last year, a quiet year for a lot of people, but not for us. We delivered our basement conversion. We delivered an assisted sale. We bought a site in Emma Green, got indicative schemes drawn up, and then sold it in auction, making a 225 grand net profit. We took on a scheme in Canterbury, which was 7 flats and 1 retail unit. We've achieved PD planning for that, and we're looking to either sell that on or deliver it. This little scheme here was a 5-bed, 5-bath HMO, which has been bought, refurbished, completely full. Now it's generating about £4,000 per month income, and we're due to refinance that imminently. This was a barn project which we project managed. This is a detached unit that we bought and we're now in planning, and this was another 5-bed HMO. So lots going on, which then brings us on to this year. And we thought last year was probably our busiest year and might be our busiest year that we'd ever have, and how wrong we were. This is this year. So everything that you can see on the screen, apart from this far right building, we have already bought, exchanged or completed on. So extremely active this year. It's actually 6 purchases that we're up to. And we're really excited to sort of see how we get on. I'm sure Simon recognises one of the buildings on there. But yeah, really exciting year ahead. They're all different types of strategies. So this one we've flipped on, which is the Whitchurch site you've seen. These 4 are we're refurbishing for social housing, then signing a full repairing lease. So it's not really loads of work. You're probably thinking your team must be 100 people, but we don't need to be, because we're just handing those over on leases. This one's a little planning game, and this is an income generating block of flats that we're buying. So lots going on, but we are enjoying it. So into the detail, what can I give you? You've heard enough about what we're doing and what we're delivering and what we're buying. Now's a bit more about you. I'm an avid believer in pushing process. I'm an avid believer in sticking to the process. And I know for a fact, and I've got a proven track record, that if you put in the activity and you make sure that you're doing what you say you're going to do at the beginning, obviously goals and strategies will tweak from time to time, you will get deals. So I've tried to build a bit of structure. Feel free to screenshot it or ask me for the slides. I'm open to giving it all to you. I don't believe anyone's going to come in close proximity, competition with us. The UK is a big enough place with enough property for us all to be good in the game, and the people on this call are going to do better than people not on this call. And that's my view. Networking is a good start. So you need to know what you're looking for, how and where you are looking for them, what you do with them when they come in, and how to de-risk them. So these are basically parts of the process. So we've gone from quite a granular level into just how you look for deals. Now, I do get quite a lot of people asking me a few questions here and there. And a lot of people ask me a question like, what do you think of the new PD rules? What do you think about purchase lease options? Now, I don't really care about PD planning, purchase lease options, use classes, like granular strategies. What I care about, what you need and where you're looking for it, what you do where you're looking for them, what you do when they come in, how to de-risk them and how to offer. It doesn't really matter what the strategy is on the deal. So for me, I believe you need to build a strategy that can counter anything that falls in front of you. So you might get a flat one day that needs a lease extension and refurbishing. You might get a building plot one day for 6 houses, which is going to have a completely different strategy to the other, but you need to have an adaptive strategy that works for all. One of the most important things I always say is follow up. 1 in 3 offers fall out between offer and exchange. So that's something that you need to capitalize on. So this is what we would look for, and this is what we would tell estate agents we would look for. And it's basically quite broad, as you'll probably see. So a development, planning uplift, assisted sales, options, conditional, so subject to planning, and selling on sites. Now, any one of these 6 could be any scheme that I've shown you we've bought, sold, or developed today. So it's extremely broad. This is just how we cut it from our end. So it's either a development, it's either a planning uplift, we either agree an assisted sale, we either secure an option on it, we either secure subject planning on it, or we either sell it on. So this is how we cut the deal. So this is the process that we look for, and this is how we successfully ensure that we get offers out on everything, and most importantly, that we cut through the crap, really. So we use a few methods. So first of all, you need to make sure your activity is there. Second of all, so activity is bringing in the deals and finding them and looking on Rightmove, looking on estate gazettes, looking at direct to vendor lettering, looking at all the above. The second process is rating the deal. So you need to have an initial rating system, which I'll come on to, so that you know which one to spend your time on. Time and time again, I've got to my desk and I've got 5 projects that I need to look at. And I know for a fact that I need to analyze which one of the 5 I should start on, because by the time I get to the 5th one, it might be gone. So you want to make sure that 5th one is the weakest deal. We have a fag packet, or others call it initial stack, which you can see on the right hand side here. It's 3 or 4 inputs that you can quickly find information, get GDV values, work out the build costs, and kick out a rough profit to understand if it deserves more time. So I've tested it from a deal perspective, I've tested it from a higher level perspective, and then we go into the deep dive, and then we go into the viewing. You will find that you can do 50 fag packet stacks in the time you can do a deep dive and a viewing. So if you get sent one deal in 1 week and you do a deep dive stack and a viewing and it doesn't work, that's a waste of time. So my view is really make sure and stress test them as they go along to make sure they're really worthy. Point number 5, offer. What's the worst that can happen? Always offer. I find some people are scared of offering because it might be offensive, but if that's what you arrive at in terms of your value, just be transparent. Say, it looks like this might suit an owner occupier better. It looks like it might suit a home builder better, but for me, this is where I'm at. You don't have to put that as an offer forward, but if you go, this is where I'm at, that's subtly what we would call a soft offer. So I mentioned there's 4 methods, and every one of our 4 methods goes through the prerequisite slides process. So we make sure we got a good process. We make sure that we rate the deal. We make sure we do the fag packet. We make sure we do the detailed dive, and we make sure we offer. Now you're thinking, okay, that's great. I've got a system, I've got a process. Anything that comes in, I know how to cut it. But now we're talking, what do you actually look for? There's only really 4 ways, I believe, that you can get deals: agents, commercial and residential, direct to vendor, network, which is people on this call. People might come to you for your expertise, vice versa. You may take a deal to someone else. And then point number 4, which is my favorite, which is your previous pipeline. So this is all of the above, but you revisit it. So let's say you offered on something 6 months ago and you keep it in your Trello board or Asana board or spreadsheet, however you monitor your deals. Revisit all those. Just follow up the agent with an email. It only takes 2 seconds to say, how did you get on with this? Did the buyer actually buy it? I've had ample success with this. And the best thing about it is when the agent, 1 in 10, 1 in 20, 1 in 30, depending how lucky you are, come back and say, actually, they are messing us around, or actually they have pulled out, or actually the vendor would consider someone else coming to the table. You've already got all your numbers ready. You've already looked at it. You've already viewed it. You've already got the stack. So that, in my opinion, is much stronger than finding something new. Second reason it's better than finding something new is because they're a bit more distressed by the time they come back to you. So looking at this, I think it's really key to understand what you would like to allocate your time on. I see a lot of land developers and land agents spend 80% of their time on direct to vendor deals. That does not work for me and my business because we have mouths to feed. We have bigger overheads than a one-man band that's walking around fields every day and securing direct to vendor deals. And what that means is every month we need to be obviously building a certain amount of pipeline to be able to deliver the schemes that we are. So it's one of my bugbears when people say don't look at stuff on market because it never works. I disagree with those people. You can get on market deals. You just need to know how to negotiate, how to add value, how to structure them correctly, how to deliver them well, and how to sell them. And that's it. Like, as long as you can do that, you can get as many on market deals as you want and still deliver them successfully. Out of every single deal that I just showed you from 2019, 2020, and 2021, which I think is about 18 deals, I would have said 15 of them are from on market. And every single one of them has produced in excess of 20% GDV profit. Some of them quite substantially more than that. So it's all about you. It's not about it being on market. And what I always look at when it comes to agents and on market deals is you have to understand where your value is. An agent will say to me, what type of schemes are you looking for? And the first thing I say is I am not looking for a scheme that has no possibility of value add. If they've already really well explored the scheme and it's already maximized and they've already swept the asset and the planning is looking amazing and there's just no way that I could improve that, that's going to sell better to a contractor or someone that can build it out cheap. And that's not our business. We're not builders. So understand your competitive value. Direct to vendor is just as important as agents, but we spend about 20% of our time on direct to vendor. We have our own direct to vendor strategy. It's very sort of outbound. You need to make sure you know what you're doing when you're getting your letters out, where they're targeted, what you're looking for. I say it annoys me when people say they don't look on at on market deals. And I wouldn't ever say don't ever look at off-market deals. I think that it's good to have a blend of type of deals in your spectrum. The negatives of direct to vendor is when you're looking for deals and you're starting out in property, it could be 2 years by the time you sent a letter to someone, met them for enough times that they've boosted confidence in you to convince them to sell it and then get planning to deliver it. That could be 2 years, could be 3 years. The great thing about on-market stuff, they're willing to sell it and it's ready to go. The benefits of direct to vendor is you're mitigating agents' fees. You can structure the deal in more creative ways. You can normally buy a bit more time. They normally tend to be a bit more time consuming because you're doing the agent's job and your job. Network. So you would see I've gone 1, 1, 1, 1. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4. I think all of these are just as important as they need to be. I know people that only do deals from within their network. I know people that only do deals in their previous pipeline. So all of these are important. And the most important thing is for you is to analyze all 4 and make sure you allocate the time that you want to be spending in each segment of where you find deals. So network, communicate with people, tell people what you do, find your competitive nature. If you're really good at planning, tell people that. If you're really good at building, tell people that. If you're really good at finding deals, let someone else do the other parts of the delivery. Previous pipeline, I've mentioned before, just keep a file of all your previous offers and just 1 month, a quarter, just go through all of them, just pick up an email to all the agents, give them a ring if you do want to build a relationship with them and see where that deal is at. We also have a bit of a success rate calculator, which I think is really key, just to show you that when you do the work in these areas, if you did 100% of your time in agents, it's not going to be as good a conversion rate to the amount of responses you'll get direct to vendor. So it's really good to understand your success rate as well. So how do we find deals in these areas? Agents. Now, it's not rocket science. You know, you've got all your Rightmoves, Zooplas, Estates Gazettes, agents that you might have spoken to before. I've actually written an article which is on my LinkedIn page and our website about how I liaise and deal with agents. It's completely free. You just click on there and you can read it through at your heart's content. And it's just got a few tips that I put on paper just to say, look, it's not rocket science. All you've got to do is befriend these people and they want your business. They want religious business. They want people that repeat purchase and they want people that they can sell through. So read that article. It's probably of some use. And if anyone's got any other questions, do let me know on that. But realistically, don't overthink it. An agent's an agent. They're always been pretty much the same. They get something instruction. Commercial agents are a lot easier to build rapport with. Residential agents are a lot more highly transactional, but what you have to understand is they're all working for commission. Direct to vendor, we've done a webinar on this. It's a little bit more complicated. You have to have a good letter set up. You have to have a good process set up. You have to have a team ready to distribute these letters. You could have you could compile a list of 100 addresses on using tech and send out to a blanket one to the 100. You can handwrite ones. If you see a really good site in your local area, handwrite it. I do that all the time. I think my response rate on handwritten letters is about 80%, which is ridiculous. But people acknowledge that you've handwritten letters and they go to the courtesy of ringing you up and talking you through their situation. Network, you're on a call, just keep doing what you're doing. Previous pipeline I mentioned, document all your old offers and follow through them with prospective calls or emails. KPIs are also known as key performance indicators. If you are not getting enough deals and your stacking's good, your branding's good, your searching's good, it might be because you're not looking at enough stock. So if you don't feel like you're getting enough communication and transactions out the door and enough offers out the door, start setting yourself weekly or monthly targets and start tracking yourself and making sure that you're hitting those goals. KPIs, I could go on for a little while, but it's a very good way to make sure that the more offers you get out, the more deals you get. Great, so now we're moving on to EXPs, or my homemade qualification system. So this is how I rate deals. So when I have, for example, an agent call me and go, Jack, I've got 4 deals, 2 vendors have just come to me and they want to offload them. What are your thoughts? This is how I understand which ones I prioritize. So when you have 4 deals in your inbox, It's really, really, really key to make sure you spend the time on the most valuable one. There's 3 metrics that we work it on. The deal itself, so that is the location, the size, the use class, the purchase price, the GDV, the risk. The marketing, this is who else can see it. This is like how many people have got their eyes on this. So is it just you? Is it a contact that you know that have said, Jack, I haven't put this out yet, here's a deal? Or is it your relationship with that individual? So the 3 metrics that we market on. So looking at the deal, if you live in an area and you have a catchment area or a gold mining area or whatever it is, and a deal crops up that's like literally your dream deal, rate that a 5. If there's a deal that's 400 miles from your area that you're operating in and someone's given it to you, I'd probably rate that a 0. So that's your first rating system. Second rating system, again, is marketing. So this is how many eyes are on it. Now, what this is analyzing is, what is your competition? So the more competition, the less likely you're going to secure it. So why would you spend all your time on loads of deals that you're never going to secure? You might as well go down the to the shop and get a lottery ticket. If it's going online, there's a good likelihood that no matter who you are, there's going to be a lot of competition. So is it on Rightmove? Is it on State Gazette? Is it with a boutique agent? Is it off market? Is it direct to vendor? So obviously direct to vendor or just you looking at it is 5. If it's slapped everywhere in the world, it's a 0. And then finally, which is sort of a lead on from the prerequisite one, I've looked at deals that are spread everywhere, but my contact is the most important thing. So I've had deals that have gone on Rightmove and gone everywhere in the world, and there's 30 people bidding on it. But if the person that's controlling the sale is a better contact to me than anyone else, i.e. rate it a 5, there's a lot of good advantage to you being able to secure that. So once you've got all 3 rating systems, you can rate the deal, you can rate how many people are looking at it, and you can rate your relationship with the individual that sent it to you. I would like to think that you could categorize the deals in a higher score, 1 to 15, and make sure that you spend time on the 15 deals. So on the deals near the 15. So let me give you an example. So I live in South Oxfordshire. The perfect size deal for us is about £1 million purchase and about £3 to £4 million GDV scheme, mixed use or residential. If an agent I've never met brings me that deal, the deal is a 5. And let's just assume they're a boutique agent and they haven't advertised it everywhere. So the deal is a 5, the marketing is a 2, and the relationship is a 1. You know, I've never worked with this agent before. So that's an 8. That scores an 8. Now let's assume I get sent a deal in Bristol, which is a flat that isn't the sort of deal that I look for, 200k purchase, 400k sales. It's not really the right deal, so I'd rate that a 0. But it's my sister's friend's flat that she really wants to sell, and it's, you know, it's not mortgageable, so she's struggling to sell it. I'm the only person that's looking at it because she knows her brother's in property, and I would rate that a 5 for marketing and a 5 for relationships. So now I've got a 10. So this flat in Bristol has outweighed the deal in Oxfordshire, and the reason for that is because if I look at it and it works, there's almost 100% chance that I will secure that deal. So it's all about gauging the deal's strength. And then obviously if the deal was perfect size, perfect location, and it was my sister's friend that brought it to me, and that's a 15, and I'm going all guns blazing, I'm going to ignore everything around me. I'm going to ignore eating for the day. I'm going to get that done and turn it around. So that's how we rate deals. Prioritize higher numbers. And if you have no higher numbers, you need to review your process. If you're getting deals that are like 5 to 8s all the time, you're not looking and you're not speaking to the right people. So it's also a good way to second guess your process. So that's just an easy 5 and 5 and 5 way to look at deals. And that's how you can get the lower hanging fruit. So you're probably on the call. I know the market's been really quick, really, really rapid. I've heard people saying it's impossible to find deals because people are paying too much for sites. Well, what about the deals that are won within your network? So they might have been secured 6 months ago, 3 months ago, or you might have offered them before. And what about your previous pipeline? Ignore everything that's really quickly flicking on the market. Why don't you just look at previous offers that you've put in? I can guarantee if something hasn't sold in the last 8 months, they're going to be more distressed and look at your offers. So always look at the lower hanging fruit and where you're spending your time. So let's assume you've really fine-tuned your spread between agents, direct-to-vendor, network, and previous pipeline. You've really started to analyze qualifying those deals and understanding where you spend your time on them. You've really qualified your fag packet scenario, and then when you go into a deep dive, and you're now starting to get juicy deals in your pipeline, your stacks are starting to look good, and you're getting offers out, and they lead to further conversations. Once you're having those further conversations, my best advice when speaking to an agent that's representing a seller or a seller themselves is understand their motives. They will either have one or two motives, time or money. And what I mean by that is when someone's selling something, they either want to get rid of it quickly and the price is reflecting that, or they can wait and they want more money. So in the instance that the time is not the priority, offer more money. In the instance that the time is the most important thing, offer them reassurance and security that you're going to do it quickly and you're going to get it done. Now, what you can do with that is if they're looking for money, you can do structured deals, conditional deals, vendor finance, subject to, assisted sales, options, exchange with a delayed completion, rent to buy. You can do all of these structures. If they're just looking for a quick sale, just put the money that you can make the scheme work. If they're not accepting it, it's going to be pretty unlikely that you're going to get the deal done. You can offer overages, but that's another matter. So when they're looking for the more money and they can wait, that's when you know you've got a flexible deal, and that's when we then offer the sort of what I call dual offer process. So we've looked at a deal, we've stacked it, and the agent said the vendor doesn't want to speak to you, just get an offer forward, will you? So what we then do is we do 2 offers on one offer sheet, 1 unconditional and 2 subject to planning. Both offers are a different value. So one of them is obviously low, unconditionally, and one of them is more money, but with a subject or a conditionality to it. The condition could be a certain valuation, the condition could be planning, the condition could be permitted development, the condition could be kicking a tenant out, the condition could be change of use, the condition could be signing a new lease. It could be all of the above, but the most important thing is this will really quickly get to the point of their motive and understand what they want. And then when they come back to you and say, the unconditional is too low, but we would consider the conditional one if you reduce your time frame, you then know you've got something that's pliable to then go back and forth to secure a deal. Or they might come back to you and go, oh, 8 months is too long for us. We want something quicker than that. And then you know that you can refine the unconditional process. Anyone wants our offer letter, let us know. I can share it with anyone listening. And that really is, the more you know about the seller, the easier it is for you to get a deal done. So what I always say, there's 4 people within a property transaction. There's the buyer, there's the agent, there's 5 people. There's the buyer, there's the agent, there's the seller, there's the surveyor, and there's a bank, right? And everyone has expectations of value that differ. The way you get transaction done is when that line is as close as it can be. So the bank and the surveyor agree with a price that's with the seller, that's with the agent, that's with you. So in this line, what you've got to try and do is get all expectations in line. So the key thing to take away from that is the more you get to understand from the seller, the better. The more that you get to understand from the seller, the more pliable you can make this deal and get it to work. And realistically, the more knowledge you have, the more power you have to get the deal done yourself. So, any questions?
Simon, have you got any questions?
Jack, why don't you, it's quite an interesting story. It's worth sharing again with the viewers how much you paid for that place, the grade 2 listed building. That,
yeah, cool.
So, because you talked about, reviewing pipeline deals that got away.
Yeah.
This was a real carrot at the end of it.
Yeah. So what Simon's referring to is a property he knows pretty well, as he's been to see it, and some more. So this building on the far left-hand side came on the market. It was 2019 in December. So I viewed the building. It's a grade 2 listed office building. Anyone that knows planning knows you cannot get PD or permitted development on a grade 2 listed building. So this is a full planning gig, or you're buying a grade 2 listed office. We viewed it back in 2019. We worked through our numbers and we offered £430,000 subject to planning. The property was guided at 450 unconditionally. And we were competing with another buyer who we eventually lost the deal to. I didn't have a massively great relationship with the agent. He would tell me some, but not enough. And therefore, in January 2020, we lost the deal. The agent came back and said the vendor has chosen to go with another bidder at £430,000 unconditionally, and that sale is going ahead. So I've viewed it, run on my numbers. I've probably done 3 working days worth of work on this. So in my diary, that's a lot of time, as well as I'm sure all of you busy entrepreneurs, that reflects that way with you. So it went on the market 450. We offered 430 subject to planning to de-risk it, and we wanted 6 months to get planning. And they closed the deal at 430 unconditionally. 4.5 months later, I picked up the phone with the agent, Reading-based agent, so I knew it would be worthy to build a relationship regardless. And I said, hi, I offered on this back in December, it ran into January. COVID's hit in March. We own a big office building in Spencer's Wood that's bigger than this. And we're in the market to buy more stock. So we wanted to know if you would reconsider an offer on this building. The agent came back and said, actually, the buyer that was in the WIMS has not bought the asset. The vendor would be considerate to pulling it away from them and giving it to you if you can perform, because they've taken 4.5 months to do anything about it. In this time, the agent lived in Marlborough. The vendor was ideally looking for a sale because they've taken their eyes off it. They thought it was selling. They haven't taken care of the building as per se since then. They got a tenant leaving the following year. So for them, it's now becoming a bit of a liability, and they want to get shot of it. And as I mentioned, the stress of the seller completely had changed from when they were dictating between a few offers pre-Brexit in December. Anyway, so we're back and forth, back and forth. Obviously, the market's changed, and I knew that an unconditional deal would get the deal done. And I offered 375 unconditionally to buy this building and get the deal done. There was a lot of back and forth, and eventually the agent advised the seller to get rid of it at that value, because then it would mean there wouldn't be any viewings, there wouldn't be any wasting more time, and we would then take on the responsibility. God forbid, June 2020, we had struck a deal. It took a little while to actually purchase it, hence why it falled over into this year. But we ended up buying that building for 375, and if everyone's really quick at maths, you can work out we just paid over £200 a square foot for that building. And everyone that may know Reading would know that office space is worth about £350 a square foot in Reading, and that's not if it's a period building. And also Resi is about £475 a square foot in Reading. So realistically speaking, if you gave me a plot of land next to this building and said, you can have the land, build me the same building, it would cost us more money than what we paid for that building. So it's a really well negotiated price, and we essentially got a decent 50k-ish discount off what we were prerequisitely willing to pay, and we've de-risked the deal because that's way below the value an office space is worth. So that's just a revisited deal. We had already done the numbers, we'd already viewed it, we'd already measured the site, we had already done all sorts. And the funny thing is, once we had actually bought it, we also then found a basement which wasn't marketed, so we also had a bit of a bonus there too as well. So that's Simon's example.
Now, the reason why I suggested about that one is because you talked about going back to review pipeline, and I didn't realise the numbers were so high that 1 in 3 deals fall off, and
yeah,
so and we all get so bitter and twisted about losing a deal. We spend a lot of time in dealing with it, and sometimes it doesn't hurt to just ring the agent again and just ask, does it? And say, oh, did that really happen?
Yeah.
Did they really go for it? You know?
You're spending time more wisely chasing up stuff you've already missed out on than stuff you haven't even looked at yet, because you've already done that work. So it's forward-fronted work. Yeah.
Maybe the added bonus with COVID and all of that side of it. But putting a cheeky offer that's 55,000.
Yeah, so probably quite a few of these
to put in
deals that we've looked at have been revisited. This one was revisited. This one was revisited. This one was revisited. So yeah, this one we lost and then bought in an auction for less than we offered first time round. So it's all about stuff that you've looked at before, and it's already preempted and prerequisitely done work.
Jack, on that grade, sorry, Simon, on that grade 2 listed building, what did you actually do with it? Remind us. It's an office building, so what's your plan on it?
So we've it's tenanted, so we're getting rent.
Okay.
The tenant's actually leaving either this month or next month. They're contractually bound to leave next month, but they're starting to sort of vacate. So we're getting a little bit of rent roll. The rent roll is below market value, but we don't really care because we're planning to convert it anyway. We have got a full drawing pack together to put in full planning permission. Simon doesn't actually know this, but you a catch up to split it into 2 residential units, 1 2-bedroom flat based on ground floor and basement, and 1 townhouse which could be converted into an 8-bedroom HMO or a high-end townhouse above. So it's basically going to be 2 residential units. We're looking at a GDV of about 800, 900k, with a build cost of about 250. So if you look at 375 plus costs, let's say we're in for 400, total cost will be about 650, with a GDV of about 900k.
And when you initially bought it, was that your plan? And do you have a backup plan? Did you have a backup plan?
Yeah. So what we always do with all of our stacks is we do a worst case scenario. And the best example we did that with was, you could use that one or the police station, is we look at it and we go, right, let's assume we do not get planning. So let's assume no planning goes our way, which let's fast forward 4 months and say we've gone to Reading Borough Council, they've rejected change of use to this grey listed building and they want to keep it an office. We know there's shed loads of D1 users that would rent this space out at £20 a square foot. And we know that if we were spent 80 to 100 grand refurbishing this whole building and found a tenant within a year, which is quite feasible to rent half the building, some of the building, 1 floor or shared, this would probably refinance at about 600, 700k just as a commercial building. So our way of de-risking it is, although our GDV is coming down, our costs to just refurbish it as a commercial building is about 80k. So it's about a third of what it is to be a residential building. So our profit margins aren't actually too dissimilar. So the way we de-risk it is just look at demand. And with the police station, the way that we looked at it is we bought a 3-bedroom house and an office, and we looked at it, we bought it for 460, and we knew that to de-risk that scheme, ideally we wanted planning for 3 houses and to extend the office, but we don't know we're going to get that yet because that's in the future. So the way we de-risk it is we value, if we split the site to the 3-bed house and the office on its own, what are they worth independently? What would that cost us to buy it, fail at planning, deliver it and sell it off as just 2 units? And the way that works is we paid 460 for the site. If we refurbished a 3-bedroom house with 2 garages and a garden in that location, it would sell for about 550 and the office would be about worth 150. So we got a 700 grand GDV and we bought the site for 460 and it would probably cost about 50k in the house and about 20k in the office. So even still, if everything goes wrong, we still cover our tracks and make a profit. And that's how we de-risk things. Every single thing that we look at that has planning scope, we look at, right, let's just assume everything goes wrong, the build overruns, we don't get planning and we've got to keep it as it is. What do we exit at then? And that's how we de-risk schemes.
That's a really interesting way of putting that process in. So you're not massaging the figures to fit the deal. You're saying, this is my plan, this is the figures it leads to, this is my offer. So people often do it backwards. Yeah,
so you're planning uplift and getting, on the police station, getting 3 houses next to us. That's a small site, and getting 4 units on there is optimistic. It's not realistic, but we don't even take realism planning into consideration. We just take what is it now? What would a bank lend on it now? And that's when we can get in and secure the site and get it in and be competitive, because it's really difficult to secure conditional and subject to planning deals on every deal. Some people just want to get shot. The police force didn't want to sit on an asset waiting for me to get planning on it for a conditional purchase. So we look at it and we go, right, how can we split this up and get lending on it today? Bought it, site's done. Then we go and get the planning. Sorry. Then we go and get the planning, and we're all laughing. And that's pretty much how we focus on it.
Great, no, and really good process-driven stuff. Simon, back to you. You got more
I was just gonna, you know, you mentioned about the auction one, Jack. I think the lessons that you're showing people there. You said you had to go back. You got outbid, but you bought it at auction. So obviously that failed purchase.
Oh, so that's this one here.
Yeah.
So this building here, we it was just a cheeky little 5-bed HMO that we wanted to buy in an area that we deliver schemes in. It went on with an estate agent. It's in a low value area in Oxfordshire, so it came on at 215, and I got into a bidding war with another buyer. I went up to 215 and said that's my best and final. They bid 230. The buyer didn't realise that it really wasn't that mortgageable because it was a probate sale and the kitchen was in bad condition, no insulation in the loft, blah, 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 you know the gig. And I just kept tabs on it. I contacted them on the 1st of a month, every month for 6 months in a row. And eventually they said, actually, we are willing to sell it. And I was like, oh, here we go. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to push this guy away and get it for 215. And the lady that was the beneficiary of the probate still refused to sell it to me at 215. She said, look, someone else has offered me 230 and that's what it's worth. And I said, your expectations are inflated and there's a reason that they didn't pay any more than 230. So anyway, they then submit it into an auction. So I've gone from offering 215 to really battling whether I should pay 230 for it. My business partner, Ben, said, just pay 230. It was 15 grand by the time we finished it. And I said, Ben, I'm going to stick by my guns. I'm not getting, I could go down the road and put 10 other offers out and I'd probably get the similar conversation going on another one. So anyway, I stuck by my guns, went into auction. They started it at 200 grand. Well, it actually started at 180, but the reserve, guided reserve was 200K. And I walked away at the end of that day, securing it for 209,000, and the seller had to pay an auction fee on top of the agent's fee. So what happened is I got it for 6,000 less than I was prerequisitely offering, which was £21,000 less than she was looking for. We bought it for 209. We spent 55 grand on it. It's now got 4 bedrooms let out. We're waiting for the HMO license to be finalised to get the bit done. So we only bought this in October, and it's already completely finished and let out 4 rooms. And we had a revaluation on this at 380. So we've added 100 grand's worth of value on this asset, which is obviously quite a decent wage. So we're actually refinancing that and keeping it, and we're leaving about 20 grand in it, and it's generating a decent income per month.
Fair enough. So another question, Jack, was what do you think is trending at the moment in the best things to invest in?
There's a lot of people hyping about like new PD. I'm not a massive believer in basing your strategy on one change of use class or planning class. For me, they're bonuses. If you can explore PD on a site that works for you, great. That could be an added bonus, could speed things up, could de-risk the planning, but that's not what we base a strategy on. So our strategy throughout PD changes hasn't really changed. What is good to be investing in? I think that there's going to be a lot of demand for mixed use stuff. I think it's pretty risky to be building big offices or big retail spaces or big areas that are not very diverse. I'm a massive believer on location still has a value. A lot of people have been saying to get out of the city. I don't agree with that. People have a short memory. We're going to be going back into the cities very soon. And yeah, in general, our strategy doesn't tend to change or differ too much within reason. We just like so we look at 5 metrics, and whether the market's up, down, or there's new laws coming in, or there's undersupply of retail, we just look at negotiating strong. delivering as much value in design and planning, delivering as much efficiency and cost and space engineering and value in delivery, selling it well, and then reinvesting it well. So to sort of come back to you, it doesn't really matter what we're buying, as long as if we're buying retail, we've done all of those 5 things. As long as we're buying industrial, we've done all those 5 things. And that's how we angle it. So it's not really, you know, what sector we're in or what we're trying to buy. If a deal's good and it's an office, we'll have it. If it's a flat, we'll buy it. If it's a block of 6 flats, we'll buy it. We're not too fussy about that. I think the most important thing to come back to you is that the individual that's going out and buying is refining their process more so than thinking, oh, that would be a really good buy, because then in 6 months it's not a good buy because everyone's gotten onto it and then they've got to change their strategy again. So I like building the base and making sure that could just always swallow decent deals.
Okay, Jack, there's another question. Someone wants your slides. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, that's fine.
So could you email them across to Surinder? And
yeah, of course.
Pass them on.
I'll arrange that with Surinder afterwards.
Excellent.
Jack, I've got to ask you this question, and I've got probably I've already second guessing your response. When are you going to do a training course?
One thing Ben and I set out to never do was a training course. We are massive believers that as soon as you start dipping your toe in training, and then your time is doing more training than property, you lose your edge and you then end up selling something you were. So as property developers, we always want to be property developers, and we always want to be the majority of our time giving people value, but still doing developments. And that's, you know, telling people what we are. So there's not going to be a point where more of my time is training. I'm going to be a property developer until I get bored. And that's our view. And Ben and I have always been really keen to not go into a cookie cutter scalable training business. We do actually do one-to-one mentoring, and that's more about us giving people the tools that we use, and it's really satisfying to enable people to not make the mistakes that we do. But we're not up for a room full of 150 people and selling, you know, 299 a head. We just you know, we're a development business. We're not a training business. So I hope that answers your question.
No, I had to ask it because in my view, I think you've delivered more material than a standard 1 or 2 day training course delivers anyway. You've really nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, that's I've heard trainers say before, like, I can't share that because it's too much and then I'll have nothing to sell, and it just makes me cringe.
Yeah.
Like if we as an industry want developers to get better, you've got to share your ups, downs, indifference and knowledge. And if you've got to charge for that, I just think that's morally wrong.
Yeah.
And my biggest pet peeve with trainers is they give people enough information to be dangerous, but not enough information to deliver. And I'd rather give people only information to deliver.
And this is why I'm probably your. We talked initially when we got started. You saying I'm your fan club. This is what makes you so real for me. You're doing the job. You're delivering the stuff, and you're not delivering any BS to go with it. You've literally delivered more content than some training courses I've been on. Absolutely. So thank you, really from bottom of my heart for delivering that. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Question for Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby? Is Bobby around?
Yeah, he's still here.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Can you have slides back, Jack, for a minute?
Yeah.
Just Bobby, someone's asking around the nationwide. Could you go through the criteria for the self-employed, please?
Self-employed criteria, I think in what respect? Because it really depends on their situation.
Well, they're asking what, because you're talking about like bonuses, overtime, things like
that. So generally they'll look at average of 2 years for your income if you're self-employed. But if you're looking for most recent year's income, Halifax will actually take 1 year's trading latest year. Kensington will do that. Coventry will take latest year's income. Santander will take latest year's income, which will be 2019-20. But when it comes to contractors, generally speaking, you're looking at last 3 pay slips but they will compare this with your last two P60s just to ensure that you haven't been earning 20,000 last year and miraculously you've actually earned 65 this in the last 3 months. There'll be a sense check on everything as well. We have another case going through for someone that is an optometrist, another one that's a teacher who are locums, but we've gone on a yearly average for one case, and on the other, she's been working full-time for 3 months. Previously, due to the pandemic, she was working part-time because she works in-home. So again, there's a lot over there. Commissions, bonuses, average of 3 months on average, nationwide will take. A lot of lenders during the pandemic did remove themselves from the whole market of accepting bonuses because they don't foresee something that was paid last year pre-March is actually going to be feasible, because a lot of companies won't be giving bonuses this year.
And another question that's just sprung to my mind actually is about furlough. Could you give us
About furlough?
Furlough, how are they viewing furloughed people at the moment?
Until you're going back to work, because unfortunately the government have been very, very welcoming to furlough payments. There was a time when furlough income was acceptable. There was a time when it was acceptable providing you had a return to work date. There was a time where the furlough income being 80% of your basic salary was acceptable. Now, until you're back at work with at least one pay slip, no go, because I can't see things being extended once again. But if you're on furlough, it is a shame. But look at your contract, because it could be that your contract allows you to work elsewhere, and that will be down to the discretion of the underwriter or the lender involved. So, but if you are furloughed, you are in a bit of a situation. I probably have at least a dozen buyers that are stuck at the moment on furlough, where they simply cannot do anything. But since the retail markets have opened, that has actually changed a lot. The retail markets have actually really improved, because a lot of those people that earn those variable salaries in bonuses and commissions have actually gone back as of last week.
Bobby, question for you.
Mm-hmm.
In your opening statement, you said you're not negative. Does that apply to negative interest rates as well? Are you not going to deal with stuff when it goes negative?
I don't think negative interest rates will actually go negative. I don't see interest rates changing in any way or form. This is just my view, not a statement, just to make that clear.
Not a headline, not a broadcast headline.
I don't see base rates going anywhere for another 4 years. I'd be very shocked if they did change. Rates are, if anything, I see limited company mortgages, bridging and development finance getting a lot cheaper. I've seen that in the last month. They will get a lot cheaper.
Okay, so that's good. That's good. Right, Jack. First of all, thank you very much for coming on the show, taking your time out, especially taking your time out from your modelling career.
Not listening.
He's on another call.
So no, okay. So no, he is listening.
He is.
He is, because he's always listening. Jack is always on the game. So first of all, thank you very much.
You can't say that, Joe. You can't say he's always on the game. That's
I was just about to say that.
I'm on a football game. Come on, guys. Don't get me on this one. He's always on the ball. So first of all, thank you for taking time out on your modelling career, putting it all out there for us and not leaving any hidden corners, using the football metaphor. And please come back when you'd like to share some additions to your process.
Absolutely.
We'd love to. We'd love to. I've got lots more that we can discuss about structure, funding, creative assisted sales, creative deals. There's lots more to go through.
I tell you what, book it with Srinder and you can come on whenever you like, and we'll even do an extended show for you if you like. Although Simon might tell me off for that, but you know.
Well, yeah, yes, thank you for your excellent presentation, Jack. It's exactly what we're trying to teach on the property professionals for free to people, to try and avoid the need for all these £299 go on a course for 2 days and end up with a dangerous amount of information, which then bankrupts you. And it's far easier to just look at this stuff for free and then really see if it's what you want to go at, and then take some advice after that. So really appreciate your time today, Jack. Thanks for that. And it's really good to see Bobby, our Chancellor, back today. smiling with lots of good news.
Yes,
Lovely.
indeed. One more thing I do need to mention
Go on.
is I've probably seen rates went from about the early 3s to about 2.79 for limited company buy to let. We're seeing rates go closer to 2.5 now for limited company 75% loan to value mortgages. So that's a huge change in the market. 2.59 I think is the cheapest 75% and 3.99 the cheapest 80%. So that's actually really changed in the market, and I can see those rates getting lower as time goes on.
Excellent. Love this news. Make it free. They're being better.
Okay.
Maybe next week. We shall see. Dill.
Make it zero. Make it zero. It'll be even better. Like, okay, couple of announcements, Simon. Just to giving you a prod. Remember, from May onwards, May 6 onwards, our show is going to go to a 5 to 6 o'clock slot. The announcement one, and secondly, if I can get the slides working, there's no Monday bank holiday show. Everybody else wants a day off, but I'll be sitting here just waiting for the next Thursday show.
Very good. So we thought we'd move the show till 5 p.m. because bizarrely everyone's got to go back to work. Well, we think people are going to go back to work, and there'll be less people working from home. So therefore, there'll be more opportunity for our viewers to watch it live rather than catch up by moving it from 2 to 5 p.m. So that was the thinking behind that, viewers, in terms of what we're doing. So we'll wait and see what the feedback is, see how that works out. But we thought it was a good idea, and that's why we did it.
Great. And look, if you found this program, I found it extremely useful. So thank you, Jack, once again. Please comment. Let us know what you found useful and share it with your friends. It's all on Facebook. So thank you for that. And I think that's it, Simon. I think we have to go and do some work now, don't we?
We do. That'd be good.
I think everyone's going to go away and do some work now. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see everybody next Thursday. It's still going to be 2 p.m. next Thursday. Look forward to it.
All right.
See everyone next week. Take care.
Thanks, James.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay, Bobby.